off after reading that little line. I will be arrested for not taking a fucking vaccine. This is not a fucking joke anymore. This is fucking dead serious. I am fucking dead serious. These people don't know who the fuck they're actually playing with. Yeah, in a group they might come and fucking intimidate me and whatnot, but fuck, they do not understand what the fuck just one person like myself is capable of. They do not fucking understand. No fucking vaccine or mRNA will ever flow through my fucking blood. Never! I will fucking die fucking fighting for my forefathers and my fucking lineage. Fuck these motherfuckers!
Boom! Where we go? Ah, goddamn camera is pointing the wrong way. There we go. Welcome, everyone. And the dog's getting back on the horse, as it were, recovering and streaming through ZOG Wars and Armageddon. And the news headlines are flying today. I woke up to news of Operation Midnight Hammer. We are here. We've reached the the train destination of fate. It's been written in the stars for a long time. Of course, the US has engaged in a act of war, giving Iran casus belli, I would argue, with respect to. I don't even know who. Where's this rules-based order that we were supposed to be living by? And there were negotiations going on, and now we find ourselves with MiGs ululating to the sound of Moabs slamming into the deserts of Iran. Now, just for the record, I don't like either side, to tell the truth. Doc's going to sit back most of the time as I look at those headlines coming in and, be puffing on my shiny new vape. What a mess, folks. What a mess. And why is the camera gone? Lift up a bit. There we go. So what are we going to be doing today? We are, of course, we have to look at the current state of World War ZOG, and I'm going to try to just cover a little bit of headlines that aren't being discussed because of the attack on Fordow, I think is how you pronounce it, nuclear site. Which side has invaded most countries? A simple equation. Yeah. It's again, I think in this instance, all you can do is say "not in my name." They have full spectrum dominance over anything media related. There's no coordinated pushback with respect to anti-war movements, and I find the older I get, the more I want to say. The problem is that young that it's a pathway for young people to at least build themselves up, or it used to be somewhat, but now, post 9/11, any sort of signing up for military in the West is basically signing up for the Greater Israel Project, as how I see it. And the fact that we're still playing that game right now just goes to show you that they are fully in command. Now, I have well, when is the right time to do these things? I don't know. I'm not a military strategist by any stretch, but it does feel a little bit rushed, and yeah, where to cry havoc, as it were, unleash the dogs of war. And now I guess we get to sit and watch. And the problem is the maneuvers that have been made. There's no formal network in which the Iranians, and you could probably argue the BRICS nations as a whole, to be able to negotiate at any diplomatic level. It's been dismantled, systematically dismantled, and thrown in their face. And we find ourselves, if any of the strategists that would be sitting on the BRICS side, and again, I'm on my side, right? All I'm interested in is the continuation of my kith and kin through these ZOG wars. And I know, look, Shlomo ain't going to do the hard, heavy lifting in this instance, right? It's going to be white working class lads, mainly UK and US. They're going to go in and dig them out of the hole that they have excavated for themselves. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. In between the last stream and this one, we've got Sasha Latpoyva, Botox Brain herself, spiraling in Twitter as we nail her for her 5G nanobot fetish. So I'm going to take a look at that. We will check on the old vaccines that we looked at, and then I will bust open the new ones, set them up on a slide. I should put gloves on, but they're sitting there in the petri dish right next to me, and we'll pull them out, have a look, see how many bots have emerged as the vaccines dry out. Let's see. Iran hasn't invaded any country in 2 centuries. I know, and you can see from even Russia, the US and NATO has a framework of being able to project power that they've cultivated for, I don't know how far you want to wind the clock back, but most certainly post 9/11, and it's sort of a bit of a trope, right? As they plot the countries, or you see the bases plotted around particular countries that belong to the US and the Five Eyes, Six Eyes nations. And I find it stunning that we're in this spiral again. I don't know how we get out of it, except at the individual level. Again, do not comply. Do not go along with it. Not in your name, man. Every time, whatever you have to do, if you're of the spiritual persuasion, in your prayers, just hope we get through this. I don't know, this day, this week, this month, and yeah, damn their eyes who would initiate this type of scenario. But we're in that scenario right now. Let's see. Joe says, intuitively, aluminum and copper can express the lens effect, which might suggest that EMF can cause inflammation with aluminium salts in the traditional vaccines. Potentially. Look, there's no doubt that people are electro-smog sensitive. Some people. Again, you're going to have a wide distribution. Could it be weaponized for directed energy, etc.? Yeah, these are all important points that you have to take on board when trying to pass this problem. But what they're doing with respect to those vaccines, I've put all the vaccines away, but go to the last stream, see the bags of vaccines that I've tested, and they don't have the properties that are being claimed by people like Botox-Brain Sasha Latpoyva, or any of the other cretins that are pushing that there are nanobots. I'm trying to give Dr. Susan Humphries the benefit of the doubt. Just the fact that she hasn't had the necessary equipment to test these things, but that was the basis for the last stream, and yeah, we'll get into that. We'll we'll look at the cringe that is Botox-Brain Sasha, and you know, I'll put dollars to donuts that it's a strumpet of a daughter that actually sits there watching the Twitter feed and making the responses. But the the spiral is fucking superb, man. I see. It didn't take long. Didn't take long to break her. That's for sure. All right. So someone set her up. Well, poisoning. Oh, you mean Susan Humphries? Ah, look. I'm trying to be somewhat diplomatic at this stage, because it's the first sort of engagement. But at this stage, there should be no excuse for not being able to, you know, do a bit of googling and just have a look. Oh, hang on. Let me just mute Telegram real quick. But I'll put that. Can I close the window? Yeah, just close it for now. So yeah, has she been set up? I don't know. I think it's just someone that, you know, she's keyed into, you know, what are to me very obvious. I've seen it too many times now. The cholesterol precipitating out, and I think it's possible that you try to put that data out, and there's a willing cohort of people that are going to egg you on in that respect. And you know, that's why it's important that we test everything. It's important that you have independent laboratories, independent scientists right now that can step into these domains, aren't constrained by institutions, and can bring the testing necessary. Let's see. Zuckerberg wants me to look at how do I do this quickly? Put that up there. Bring up stream chat. I have so many sets. I know I vetch about it constantly. Stream chat. This profile may include potentially sensitive content. Yeah, this that's what they put on my Twitter account. Why was that there? Because for a long time I had a pinned tweet which was basically talking about the properties of vaccines, their, how should we say, their effects with respect to side effect profiles, and of course things like unpredictable expression rates, all those things. And that well, because of the nature of my interactions on Twitter, I ran into a lot of these opposition groups, Project Halos, and I've had account after account banned and flagged. And that's, you know, that's the nature of this type of warfare. And you know, we'll get into it today. We'll look a little bit more. Again, for the record, I see the biowarfare as intricately linked to the kinetic warfare that we're seeing right now. I discussed that in the last stream, for if people want to go look at that, particular demographics that have been hit harder than others, and the advantageous polymorphisms. And you know, we're going to take a look at a little bit. So I spoke about it in the last stream, which was Weizmann Institute and what is the Israeli Institute for Biological Sciences, because they've been hit by Iranian missiles, and they are dual use institutes. So we'll take a look at that. Doggy says Botox Brain loves the humiliation train. Yeah, man. And like the fact it's such, you just have to follow the thread and just see where she's like trying to pivot and spiral out of the dipshit nonsense that she said in the past, man. The internet, man, don't forget, and it can be a brutal, brutal playground. And like I say, even for her so-called strumpet daughter, that's supposed to be the voice of the youth, the based voice of the youth of the US. What did I have that? I shouldn't. I'll just keep it for Discord. But so she ain't based. They should meet my kids. They'll eat for breakfast. All right. So let's get on to the main part of the stream. It's already late. I started preparing around 10 p.m. and it's now 20 to 3. All right. So let's do this. Bow. So yes, public service message. I don't care. I'm not dying for ZOG. And on the same theme, when you have dignity and won't die for ZOG, keep 'em coming, good doggy. I don't think this one's a good doggy one. A narco cat. I'm not fucking dying for Jeffrey Epstein's employers. And more still, living in humiliation. Of course, they won't expose the truth. Afraid of imprisonment, or what are they afraid of with Trump being in those Epstein files? I don't know. Like I say, I think the cat's out the bag. That's what Elon Musk pointed to. I think there's a lot of truth in that post that he launched, and yeah, we're watching it. We're watching that power control play out in real time right now. So hold on to your seats, folks. And one last one, but they're coming through. Better to be a clown than to live and die in humiliation. Yeah, maybe just a reminder to I don't know. Always look on the bright side of life as they're nailing you to the ZOG cross. They wind up their wars. Housekeeping, folks, please. Oh, I'm not on the screen, am I? There. Is that fixed? Can I just check the alignment real quick? Yeah, okay, that's working. Please go to mccaindojo.com if you want to keep up with where I'm posting on social media, primarily Twitter. I'm in the Discord. We're selective on Discord right now about who we let in. It's big enough, chaotic enough, and it's doing a damn fine job of keeping abreast of the news feeds that are coming. And so what is I was talking last time, it's a very restricted informational domain that we find ourselves in if we compare it to how Ukraine started and the conflict with Russia, where we were how do you say, just swamped by flaggots in Twitter with their virtue signaling Ukraine flags, etc., and the constant feeds of demonic drones engaging in war crimes as the poor bastards on the ground try to surrender, and they just fly them in non-stop. Both sides are doing it. Again, I'm third way. I want to be independent from this. I want to be able to level criticism at all. Okay, and if I'm missing the target, and I'm engaged in scientific work to again, in this problem, the biowarfare, and if I'm missing the target, I think I'd have been found out by now, and I haven't. The data has been consistent. The premise that they've honed it in and weaponized amyloidogenic attack surfaces is just written all over the data. It's just a complex field, and it's easier to understand the normal geopolitical domains where things like kinetic warfare emerge. But all that's happening in a how should we say, a domain, a theatrical backdrop of this 5th-gen ambiguous warfare, right? Stealth weaponry, ambiguous causality, and in that space, these bastards move and cause mayhem. And it's not it's not a far stretch of the imagination to see how, in order to get to this point where we're as close to exchange of real strategic weaponry, right? Detonation in the modern context of, I don't know, nuclear weaponry. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Iran takes their uranium and perhaps does a demonstration. And I don't have the clip here, but Medvedev was putting out a tweet. I know he's a bit of a blowhard on social media, but basically, there's sense to what he was saying, which is because of the way that the rules-based side of the equation, the West have essentially shredded the diplomatic frameworks, engaged in deceptive behaviors, engagements. There's nothing left for the other side to work with. And of course, now the move towards having those strategic weapons becomes an imperative, because all those countries are next on the list. Once they take Iran, I mean, they're already trying to carve up Russia even more. We know that's been a long-term plan. And again, I know people are somewhat suspicious of his, how should we say, his involvement with the not even the transhumanist, but like one world governments, etc. But Jeffrey Sachs, as a historian, almost, I think, lays out very eloquently how we've ended up in the space that we are. So I'm certainly not as adept at him as describing the history, but he does a very good job. We need to move on, so please, the ability to be able to do the scientific testing, which we're going to look at in a minute. Like I say, we'll look at the slides that I prepared last time. We'll get new or sealed vials out. I'll open them on camera, and I'm then sending those vials off to Dr. Jancy Lindsay, if that's or Lindsay Jancy. So on more serious note, if you want blood samples tested for amyloid burden, this is the link you need to go to. I shall put this in, where should I put it? I'll put it in, just Twitter, make that, no, that's the wrong heading copy. Stupid thing. All right. Like this. Yeah, it's a hot link in Twitter right there. Synaptic for testing blood protocols. And, just as a reminder, let's see if I can just find that real quick. Do this. And I do have updates on baby B, and this is what we've seen recently with respect to his whole blood. Now, again, there's just how could we explain an image like that of his whole blood? It would, if it's misfolded fibrinogen, it means that he's holding or generating amyloidogenic seeds. In this instance, between the gap of taking the blood and me receiving it, the peptide reaction has managed to continue. It's in a liquid medium, blood, and the environmental temperature is probably enough to allow the kinetics to continue, and there are no, as it's outside of the body, the regulatory mechanisms that could be containing it are no longer present, and where we see something with or samples with such strong staining. I haven't seen staining like this in any other samples, and it's concerning because he was an in utero exposure. So keep that aside and remind everyone, like, sign up wtyl.live. At least we can archive video information because of what's going on right now. Of course, they're going to try, it'll come out, and again, very controlled informational environment. Try to archive as much as possible because it will get taken down, it will get lost in the sands of time. And, you know, we need to hold people to their words and actions for essentially war crimes. These are war crimes that are ongoing. And is there going to be some sort of cathartic Nuremberg trial at the end? Probably not. But at least for the future generations, our contact with these demons should be recorded as at the highest, not highest, but as broad a level as possible. And, you know, you have to leave it there for historians and hope that we can maintain the infrastructure going into the future. Let's see. Cosmic Dust says, I'm the oldest raccoon in the bunker. I don't know. We've got some aged types in there, but those I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's the Discord is really aimed for those beyond retirement age. All right. So let's get to the news of the day. So this is probably the the briefing from the White House and the Pentagon was useless. You had Hexeth and some ZOG bot there. No gun cam footage, nothing. Just not even basically a whiteboard, right? With you know, little diagrams of what went on. And we're supposed to believe that there was a multi B2, I think they said 6 or 7 B2s going in, preceded by 4th and 5th gen jets, fighter jets in this instance. And apparently there's been, or the Iranians haven't shown any radar signature for those planes, as far as I'm aware. We're just supposed to take them on their word, and that's why this stream is I've titled it you know, through deception thou shalt wage war, right? That's the motto here. And we have to be careful about what official sources are putting out. So in light of that, so New York Post, first satellite images of Fordo after US bunker busters strike show extensive damage. Okay, maybe. Come here. So this clip is silent as far as I can tell, but you do see pre and post, so potentially we can get a glimpse of some battle damage, something that the Pentagon and White House failed to do. And again, what are we looking at? Aerial shots of entrances into the underground complex. Bottom left, top right, you can see roadways. I don't know, exterior building, maybe power plant, water processing, maybe. And there, now we have pause. Did that pause? Yes. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 penetrations into the rock that makes up the mountain into which the Iranians have dug their nuclear facilities. Um, and you know, there's a change in the color of the surroundings, and as far as what I understood, this is the first ever deployment of this MOAB, right? £30,000, they say, and the ability to borrow. I don't know what they said. Was it 60 feet or 60 meters? And anyway, designed to penetrate hardened structures, and I suppose the nature of the weaponry is you're not going to see much relative to how we would look at, you know, for example, Ukraine's strike against Russia's nuclear triad and the taking out of planes, etc., or Russia's strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure. So let's see what else. Just close up imaging there. Now, if they said 6 or 7, let's say 7, so 14 bombs. I'm sure if we read the article, we'll find the exact number that the White House was claiming. It's a few hours ago since I watched the press conference. This is the building, I suppose, 2025. Still pre-explosion. I don't know. Tough to say. Has the building gone? If I wind it back, the building's like that building's still standing. And yeah, so if you wind that back a little bit, pause, you can see that. Yeah, has the entranceways collapsed? Yes, it looks like they're blocked right now. So if I go back to the earlier shots, yeah, so you can see the difference here. It's difficult. It's difficult for me to say. I have to, you know, the imagery is not the best here. And then after. Yeah, I don't know. But did B2s and 4th and 5th gen fighters really enter into Iranian airspace and make those penetrations there? I don't know. Maybe not. But let's see what they say. First satellite images from Iran's Fordo nuclear enrichment site show that part of the mounting protecting the facility was completely obliterated. Possible bomb entry points and rubble was visible following President Trump's surprise B-2 stealth bomber attack overnight. Basically an act of war by ZOG. The once brown mountainside turned grey in parts, with the entire topography of the area changed by the detonation. Yeah, it was 14 £30,000 massive ordnance penetrator bombs. So 14, 2 per plane, so 7 planes, and we saw 6 entry points. I don't know if does that really, like, they're literally able to get them down the same hole. I don't know. Again, without them producing the gun cam footage, those B2s should have had full-on 8K imaging and recording, yet we're not allowed to see it. Okay, we have to have some sketchy satellite photos from some private company. That's where we are right now. Yeah, six penetrations from 14 bombs. Of course. Look, that's not that's a massive banner, right? So this was prepared in order to print these banners for them to be rolled out along the beachfront of Tel Aviv. Light grey smoke also appears to be hanging in the air over the site. Maybe. Trying to see if I can see the holes. That looks like 3 there. Well, and also I didn't bring the tab up, but the International Atomic Energy agency is saying that there's been minimal damage in this instance. So make of that what you will. Other high-resolution satellite images suggest Iran sealed up the tunnel entrances at Fordo before the attack. Oh, so I did spot the filled in. So that's not from the bomb. Okay. An artery of roads leads to the facility with pre-images showing many vehicles lined up close to the entry points. Yeah, that's what I had next. I don't know if they show it here, but you know, if you've worked very hard to enrich uranium, the details of enriching uranium, I'm only barely familiar with. I know you have to get it into some sort of hexafluoride gas, and then you're trying to spin it at high speed to get the isotope that can reach criticality. But the engineering involved, I'd probably, well, I would be clueless if you put it in front. I wouldn't know one end of centrifuge from the other. Let's see. Iran reportedly evacuated Fordo some time ago, according to state TV. Yeah, of course you would. The enriched uranium reserves have been transferred from the nuclear centres, and there are no materials left there. If targeted, would cause radiation and be harmful to our compatriots, Hassan Abedini, deputy political head of Iran's state broadcaster, said following the attack to Reuters. Fordo is buried deep under a mountain near the city of Qom, which is basically their... so there's Tehran, the capital, and Qom is like the religious city, I guess. Meaning the tactics deployed by the US and Israel were to cause a cave-in or subsidence onto the site. At around 54,000 square feet in size, it contained some 3,000 centrifuges. Israel lacked that ordnance, yeah, we know all this. The GBU-57 at £30,000 bunker-busting bomb is capable of penetrating up to 200 feet before exploding. Developed in the early 2000s, it can go through rock or concrete before the warhead explodes. Yeah, just in time for the global war on terror and our ushering in of the ZOG fascist dystopian age. All right, so let's get to this. So I'd mentioned previously the Weizmann Institute being hit. Now, apparently, this I brought this up because of the mention of there being European Union funding going to Israel, and in this case, supporting. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they're supporting legit research into areas of biology and medicine that could be of benefit. The problem is that there is that because of the ambiguity posture that Israel maintains around their nuclear, biological, chemical weaponry, from a game theory perspective, you should just think the worst. So even if that European money was going to appropriate and legitimate research projects, it would have still been supporting the infrastructure and the institutes running to be able to conduct these dual-use research programs. And I make... no, I don't hide the fact I believe I was one of the first to be pointing out that Israel is not a signatory to biowarfare conventions. They have been involved previously for research into race-based biowarfare agents, and these institutes sit very high up on the list of suspicions with respect to, well, historic and also the current use of biowarfare agents. And it's not hard for me, you could say it's your own warped and confirmation biases, but if you were planning this war over decades, which I think they have been for the Greater Israel Project, you need to nudge populations in a direction such that the use of weaponry that we've seen deployed and the moving towards essentially, well, in best case scenario, it sort of ends up as like the Cold War and mutually assured destruction, because if Medvedev is correct and other countries see that they're on this list, they're going to give and start sharing technology between each other such that they do have nuclear deterrence. Now, has Iran done the world a favor by taking out this institute, or not just this institute, but let's see, this one. I didn't want that. I had that in the wrong place. Yeah, I was gonna talk about Sensei Warlord, but I want to get through this, and yeah, it's in the wrong place. This one, right? So, Iran destroys top secret biological weapons center in Netziona, Israel, 20 kilometers from Tel Aviv. Is a highly classified military facility involved in biological and chemical weapons and military research. The institute is linked to biological warfare and even plots involving assassinations using toxic substances in Iran and elsewhere. Unofficial reports say the institute is considered part of Israel's hidden arsenal of unconventional weapons. Now, could COVID, and we're all familiar with Bibi's syringe, trophy syringe, and Israel's posture, and not only posture but population response. They've had a baby boom whilst everyone else's birth rates have collapsed, and their all-cause mortality is low compared to countries like Russia and Iran, which I looked at in the last stream, if you want to go check and look at the charts from Our World in Data. And so I asked, give evidence relating to dual-use facility Israel Institute for Biological Research, and it goes on to say, here's the evidence regarding the Israel Institute for Biological Research and its potential dual-use capabilities, meaning legitimate public health work alongside alleged covert biological and chemical weapons research, which exactly the modus operandi which at least we can say the US and UK have been operating. Let's see here. Reliable interview. Syed Mohammed Marandi is professor at Tehran University and a former advisor to Iran's. Discusses the US attack on Iran. Yes, Kevin, you're right about Weizmann Institute. That's a bombshell from Ahmed. Okay, so institute's profile and suspicious origins. So the Israel Institute for Biological Research operates under Israel's Prime Minister Office and collaborates widely, including publishing in public scientific journals. Historically, it traces its roots to Hemed Bet, a clandestine biological warfare unit formed in 1948 and was officially established in 1952. And if you want to go back in your history books, this was sort of Ben Gurion and those terror squads. They would go round pouring cholera and diphtheria into wells, literal well poisoning, as they made their transition from the Holocaust into carving out chunks of the former Ottoman Empire. So, public research mixed with weaponization potential. Listed public functions include vaccine development, diagnostics, enzyme engineering, biotechnology, biosensors, and environmental monitoring. Nonetheless, some reports claim it may be involved in the manufacturing of biological and chemical weapons. Can I just open that in a new tab? Let's just see where that goes to. So it seems like we're getting a lot of this information from Wikipedia. Well, actually, it's not that long. I might just dip into that afterwards. So, openly declared COVID-19 at work. IIBR is currently engaged in BriLife, a COVID-19 vaccine candidate, illustrating its public health role. Or deployment of binary components to SARS. Dual-use ambiguity. The Institute's combination of pathogen research plus antidote development is a classic hallmark of dual-use biodefense programs. Public benefit on one side, potential arms grade insight on the other. I'll have a look at that link as well. Its civilian medical research, like vaccines, could conceivably facilitate both defensive and offensive capabilities, depending on intent and secrecy. And it's given us a little table at the end. Alleged dual-use weapons potential. Historical roots in biological warfare unit. Classified projects. Military alignment with defense agencies. Formerly Hemed Bet unit. Secret activities reported. There was a bunch of history here. So let's see. So the IIBR is approximately 350 employees, 150 of whom are scientists. Its research findings were often published. Yeah, we did that. The IIBR is currently developing COVID vaccines. IIBR originated with Hemed Bet, the Haganah. Keep up with the Yiddish. Haganah was the main Zionist paramilitary organization that operated for Yishuv in the British Mandate of Palestine, was founded in 1920 to defend Yishuv's presence in the region, and was formally disbanded in 1948. Just want to see some names. Ergun split. Many Haganah fighters objected to the official policy of Havlagar restraint the Jewish political leaders who had become increasingly controlling of Haganah had imposed on the militia. Fighters had been instructed to only defend communities and not initiate counterattacks against Arab gangs or their communities. This policy appeared defeatist to many who believed the best defense is a good offense. In 1931, the more militant elements of Haganah splintered off and formed the Ergun Tetza Lumi, I think you would say that, national military organization, better known as Ergun. I just want to see if there's anything about the use of cholera and etc. Not really. Maybe it's in this one, but okay. So IIBR, yeah, we just did the history. The Institute in its current form was founded in 1952 after Hemed Bet relocated to an orange grove near Netziona. It was founded partly in a former Palestinian mansion of Wadi Hunyan. Among the founders were Professor Ernst David Bergman, Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion's science advisor and head of R&D at the Ministry of Defense. Kainan was IIBR's first director. Some of the fields in which IIBR conducts research include medical diagnostic techniques, mechanism of pathogenic diseases, vaccines and pharmaceuticals, protein and enzyme synthesis and engineering, process biotechnology, air pollution risk assessment, environmental detectors and biosensors. The Institute is widely suspected of being involved in developing chemical and biological weapons. And never forget Project Coast, folks. It's also assumed that the Institute develops vaccines and antidotes for such weapons. Now, that all sounds very fucking familiar. While refusing to confirm it, Israel is widely suspected of having developed offensive biological and chemical weapons capabilities, and the Israeli intelligence service Mossad is known to have used biological weapons in assassination missions. Israel has not signed the Biological Weapons Convention and has signed but not ratified the Chemical Weapons Convention. Marcus Kingberg, the highest-ranking spy for the Soviet Union ever caught in Israel, served as the IIBR's deputy scientific director. He had joined the IIBR in 1957 and served as deputy scientific director until 1972, as well as the head of Department of Epidemiology until 1978. He was arrested in 1983 and convicted of espionage. His arrest and sentencing was kept a secret for over a decade. So Israelis convicted him. Is that where it took place? Let me just. I want to see here. I'm learning along with you guys. That's just a definition of espionage. Let's see. Hang on a second. All this reading, I'm getting parched. All right. El Al Flight 1862, which crashed in the Netherlands in 1992. Oh, God, yeah, I remember this. In 1992, was carrying cargo destined for Israel Institute for Biological Research, which included 190 litres of dimethyl methylphosphonate, which, among many other uses, could be used in the synthesis of sarin nerve gas, and is now a chemical weapons convention Schedule II chemical. Israel stated that the material was non-toxic, was to have been used to test filters that protect against chemical weapons. Right. Man, how often can they keep just pulling that same stunt, man? It's just fucking ridiculous. Where was I? Non-toxic. Yeah. The Dutch Foreign Ministry confirmed that it had already known about the presence of chemicals on the aircraft. According to the Chemical Weapons Info site CW Info, the quantity involved was too small for the preparation of a militarily useful quantity of sarin, but would be consistent with making small quantities for testing detection methods and protective clothing. 190 litres. I don't know, man. Depends how much or how you want to use the weaponry. Maybe for saturating a city, but for slipping into someone's AC unit whilst they're asleep at night, I could imagine you could get quite a few assassinations in that manner. According to British intelligence writer Gordon Thomas, the facility is surrounded by a high concrete wall, topped with sensors, and armed guards patrol its perimeter. No aircraft are allowed to overfly the facility, and it does not appear on any map or telephone directory of the area. Inside the facility, code words and visual identification control access to each area, and there are numerous bomb-proof sliding doors that can only be opened by swipe cards whose codes are changed every day. Corridors inside the facility are patrolled by guards. Many of the research facilities are deep underground. All employees and their families undergo intense health checks every month. Let's see. Life Science Research Israel, a subsidiary of IIBR, is dedicated to the commercial exploitation of innovative technologies developed by IIBR. According to its 2000 annual report, the 2000 budget was 16.6 new Israeli shekels, about $4 million, with revenues of about 12.9 million. I mean, I don't know how much in your face it has to get. And the fact that very, very few people are talking about this. Now, you know, I've been trying to hammer the point for 5 years. It can get a bit boring and repetitive to keep talking about it. But again, let's let's just bring up the Our World in Data excess mortality. Let's just check. We'll do it again. What we did last time, right? You know, people use this all the time, so we'll presume that it's somewhat Iran. We'll leave Russia in there, and then we'll use Israel. And if you remember back at the time, the death rates, so if I just get rid of this, I'll enlarge this, and then we will remove South Africa, Mexico, and we'll just leave, so there's Israel's all-cause mortality. And if we look at Iran's, Iran had this very, very large spike right at the beginning of COVID. And I want to say there was a very high number of Israeli, I don't know, strategic individuals. So let's just see if we can, if it hasn't been scrubbed. What should we search? Iran, COVID, strategic individual casualties. Like that. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe Wikipedia is going to be useful here. On 19th February 2020, Iran reported its first confirmed cases of infections in Qom. So that's the ideological center of the regime, or the governance of Iran. Let's see. The virus may have been brought to the country by a merchant from Qom who had travelled to China, or it got seeded in there by biowarfare specialists and special forces. In response, the government of Iran cancelled public events, yada, yada, yada. I'm just trying to find some early outside estimates of the numbers of COVID-19 deaths are much higher than those from government sources. While the People's Mujahideen of Iran has consistently claimed a much higher death toll, leaked data suggests that 42,000 people had died with COVID-19 symptoms by 20th of July, compared to 14,405 that were reported. So even this data is probably not a true reflection. It probably sits much higher, and it's this very, very high peak, 72% peak right at the beginning of this operation. Let's see, I should have the tweets up. Joe Jarrett says, thanks for the link in Spaces. Yes, you're more than welcome. Please spread that. That helps keep the lights on in the lab as well. I'm trying to find Discord, and live stream chat. Jiggering and jaggering, yes. Okay, where is that chat going? Okay. Amitai Etzioni was a terrorist in Palestine before moving to the USA in 1958 and advised all presidents since Carter and becoming communitarian. Very likely. Let's see, Chris has put a link here. Um, 2025 Nimble National Meeting. Diadic and the Israel Institute for Biological Research expand collaboration to combat emerging diseases. Yeah, all biowarfare programs. Sorry, you can't give them. This can't keep letting them get away with it in this instance. Let's see what else I missed. I'm just trying to keep up with the trap. Here, Reliable interviews Syed Mohammed Marandi, former advisor of Iran's nuclear negotiation team. Yeah, they're all dead now. Right, so let's do this, and I'll do this. So this was, I don't know. I'll finish with this on the details around the current environment in Iran. I thought this was interesting. So German tourist cyclist, Marek Kaufmann was arrested in Iran. He cycled near restricted nuclear and military zones which were labeled with warning signs. Kaufmann admitted to filming and sending coordinates of sensitive sites like missile tunnels. Iranian officials claimed he was guided remotely by a US-based handler who told him the route to go. Check the schnoz and Jufro. All these pictures you see coming from Iran and Israel, it just looks such a shithole to me. It's just desert, beige and browns. I ain't dying for ZOG. I ain't dying for an ugly part of the planet like that. Oh wait, no sound. I do apologize. It's all in German anyway, so you can't hear it. That's why there's.
Went up the bridge, and
Yeah, I'll start it again.
I thought that it was some military place. I also wrote that it was some military place. I only knew that it is forbidden to take videos and pictures or give information about it away.
مارک کافمن، یک یهودی دوتابعیتی، جاسوسی بود که در لباس توریست وارد ایران شده بود. در بازرسی او مشخص می شود مختصات و لوکیشن برخی مناطق حساس نظامی و هسته‌ای را سر راهش ضبط و ارسال می کرد.
I know that I sent one location to a friend.
در نقاطی که مسیریاب آدرس آنجا را نشان نمی داده.
اینها پوشش گردشگر.
And after they were gone, I went here again to get the good connection.
شروع به اندازه‌گیری مختصات منطقه، عکس برداری آنجا و ارسال لوکیشن می‌کرد. مثل اینجا که لوکیشن مسیر انگشت اشاره‌اش را که در فیلم نشان داده ارسال هم کرده.
Vor einem offenen wollte ich eigentlich pennen, aber es war da wieder sehr windig.
Just went up the bridge.
I bet he had a whole rucksack full of little repeater nodes that he was dropping along the roadways as he was doing his cycle tour of Iran. Oh, there was a story the other day as well about an American that got caught doing a cycle tour. I want to say he was trying to cycle to China or something like that. Basically, got he managed to get into Azerbaijan. Yeah, it sounds Iranian to me.
And checked where I
The OG didn't do nothing, just missing the curly locks.
can maybe stay. Saw this little path and decided to check it out.
فردی از
I bet
راه
that
دور
rucksack's full.
کنترل او را در انتخاب مسیر به دست داشته.
I choose this way, yes. My Garmin choose the other way, like where I told you in the car, where my original route.
But-
We talked about sending the location from time to time.
و یا اینجا در نزدیکی یکی از
Let's see. Is there more? If you ask me, he's just some German cycler. There are many like him for some reason tried to cycle to the remotest places. It could be some of his followers were in contact with him and donated money for his videos. Could be that his audience, maliciously or not, just asked him to go there for an additional donation or something. He allegedly cycled all the way through Syria. Yeah. He got Mossad stamped all over him. I bet the whole bike is an antenna. Yeah. All right, what did I have next? We did the IRB. All right, so let's get to. We did Weitzman Institute. Well, this was kind of interesting. I'm not saying I'm buying this, but maybe something to keep in mind, right? So this was sent to me. How convenient that every residential area supposedly hit by Iranian missiles just happens to be on the books for full-scale urban renewal. What are the odds entire neighborhoods already marked for demolition suddenly struck and cleared like clockwork? That's why footage looks fake and AI generated and why no one's trying to rescue anyone. They were already evacuated. The closure was broken, Benai Brak on the way to real change thanks to evacuation construction products. An example of Benai Bracket rooted neighborhood that actually adopts the evacuation construction approach is Tel Gibarim, the first building of which were built in the 1940s by the Biological Warfare Unit. What were they called? What was it? Hamed Bet. I need to scorch that into my memory. Hamed Bet. I don't know, man. Are they knocking down? Look, 9/11 was one of the biggest insurance, or the biggest insurance scam in history. Literally, Jewish lightning striking twice. Should we be surprised that, along with Iranian missiles coming in, they could be clearing residents and coining in reconstruction money? Wouldn't surprise me at all. And again, just deception. Wage warfare through deception and inflate your bank accounts. Did he cycle through Syria before Assad government fell? Yeah, good point. Yeah, lucky Larry emoji. All right, so let's get to Botox-Brain Sasha Latpoyva. She's just the interchat or the exchange on Twitter has just been hilarious. As like I say, I've been pinning her down because of this. Well, not just this clip, but she's also I can't stand that bitch. We're going to watch this again, just so it's on record, as we see Botox face Sasha Latpoyva talking about 5G igniting graphene in your cells and microwaving you. Okay.
Is wasting time when we should be working to save the human species, of which 68% were injected with this poison, and we need to figure out and deploy all assets for therapeutics and saving people, and then
yeah, fine. That's what I'm doing, but I'm doing it in a grounded and with a heavy dose of scientific rigor. Not looking at dark field microscopy and jumping to the most inane conclusions possible that are actually detrimental to trying to find a countermeasure, but therapeutics.
Finding out with live blood analysis and other tests, did this work? Did this particular thing work? How are we mitigating the environmental toxins, the smart dust that's being sprayed on us? So to me, that's very, very important to open people's minds. We're in a battlefield and we need to work together on therapeutics. And I also want to invite my colleagues who are dismissing.
My fucking voice, man. If I keel over right now, you know the causal source. It was scientific rigor, sir. Rigor, not rigor.
Nanotechnology, nanocontamination, etc. It's like, open your mind. You are missing the opportunity to help people, and the things that cause these humongous clots that Mike Adams showed. That
yeah, again, I think that's a garbage result. Hasn't shown up in any of the mass spec testing I've done, and is a correlation, not causation, if that signal is in any way real. Are there real doctors and nurses that buy Botox-Brain? Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a minute, right?
There's aluminum and tin in them. This stuff isn't natural, and we need to think outside of the box.
And she's literally the member of a cult. So I just want to bring up an email that was sent to me. Malacha. Let's do this. I'll just read it out because I don't want to docs. Let's see. So you know who you are. Thank you for sending me this this information. It's so fucking whack job. We live in Lacey, Washington, so looking up Dr. Anna Milacha was pretty easy. Ramtha is the ancient warrior, and Jay-Z Knight is the cult leader in Yanhua, where Dr. Anna's address is listed. She is a resident medical doctor at a high-end retirement facility in Panorama City. She is set up and probably promoted by the cult in Yelm. Light workers are common among the rampsters. The ongoing joke here is how to tell a new European rampster from an old one. They still have money. Classes and workshops are top dollar. Dr. Anna is German. Her accent and pronunciation is odd. Yeah, no shit. Let's see. I want to open this. Just put this. We'll take a look at that in a minute. goes on. I'm just reading this now. Funny. Jay-Z Knight channels Ramtha, the 40,000-year-old warrior. From her vantage point in here, Christy Student says she can catch a glimpse of a 7-foot shadow when Ramtha controls Knight's body. Former students released film snippets of Ramtha making racist and anti-Semitic statements. Well, maybe they grow on me. During a lecture, widely reported as including Mexicans who just breed like rabbits and saying Jews had earned enough cash to have paid their way out of the expletive gas chambers by now. McCarthy, he of the anti-Ramtha website, was one of the distributors. All right, let's just have a look at this real quick. Is it a long article? Yeah, too long. All right, I'll do this article next time. But just we'll keep it on the radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah! Look at that face, man. Like they're a muscle moving.
I think there's a problem with experts, even when they're the good guys, Peter McCullough and Ryan Cole. I think of them as good guys. They've been always outspoken about this. The problem with experts, once they have the area of expertise.
Oh man, fucking Botox. The only time you should use Botox is when you literally have spasmodic dystonia. Just women pumping it into their face, they just look freakish. I'm sorry, ladies. Just grow old fucking gracefully, man. Don't go round looking like some warped horror flick static face.
They're afraid of stepping out of it, and this problem requires interdisciplinary approach. You have to build on not just on your knowledge of, let's say, biology. So they're focused on this mRNA aspect of it. But we're saying there are these other aspects such as electrical engineering, and we have some.
Yeah, that's Yanovitz, Spider Yanovitz, Simon Yanovitz. This stinks of a ZOG glow up. Sorry, that's what I see here, especially in the current, how should we say, hostile environment we find ourselves.
Electrical engineers in our group, right? I even reached out to telecommunications experts to try to understand, these structures when they assemble, what could be the purpose, what could be the materials. And there are some really good, research in that area. And for example, there is I believe there is an interaction between what materials are being pumped into the people through these injections and other means.
We know what's being pumped into you with injections. Fucking hell. It's like what's the uncanny valley, right? It's like you've taken an individual or an avatar, and it just you're looking at it, and it just it's got kind of humanoid form, but there's a primitive part of your brain that's just saying, "Oh, wait, hang on a minute, this could be Invasion of the Body Snatchers or worse."
And the telecommunications aspect. Because and I just started discussing it, and I'll be with an expert. We'll be talking more about it.
So this is her admitting, right, which she's trying to deny vociferously in our exchanges on Twitter, as I call her Botox bitch and Botox brain. Ronnie Barr says ZOG Botox bitch. Yeah, that's literally what it looks like. And you have to ask yourself, how come this individual, this particular family, right? Because you've got the strumpet soft reaching out and targeting the young of the US and other places, I guess. But it feels very contrived. Feels like an asset. Feels like well poisoning. Yes, Coyote, very much well poisoning, along with whatever it was, Bet Hagener.
But they told me, 5G, the difference between 5G and all the previous Wi-Fis is that 5G is beamforming. The other ones were, you just kind of spread it around, and once it's spread around, it doesn't really hit anything, in so much energy. What happens with the beamforming, it concentrates energy. And for example, if I'm here on my cell phone, I have this material in my body that is super conductive, like graphene. I'm on my cell phone, antenna is behind me. 5G is beamforming, it's gonna hit me because it's trying to access my cell phone, and I can be in the direct hit of this energy that then going through me will find
keep digging that hole, bitch,
and it will increase, and graphene can resonate at much higher frequency, and it will create energy. It will create microbursts of energy where that graphene exists in my body. It may be even subclinical, like it may
the facial paralysis you have that you've self-inflicted on yourself.
Be micro cooking on a micro scale, just like microwave, right? And then we see those denatured proteins and those white things accumulating in people's vessels.
Yeah, so literal well poisoning, when we have a parsimonious explanation as to why they can form. They form from amyloidogenic surfaces that are present there in the expression products of those gene engineering tools and the weaponized pathogens that places like Israeli Institute for Biological Sciences have been pumping out for their fucking ZOG war of the century.
That's one of the theories how it can happen. So, or if you have two antennas, if you're in a city where they have a lot of them, you might get into the intersection of the two beams. Now, the way when we were
just trying to, she knows she wants that muscle to move. She knows her eyebrows are frozen. Try to camouflage it a little bit for the camera.
We actually work in medical devices with
literally those eyes don't move at all. Yeah, you're right. Yes, she said micro cooking with the graphene that supposedly it's not in those shots. It's not in those shots. I've got to go to the fridge anyway to bring out stuff. But let me just go and grab the the supplies that I've tested or the samples. Yeah, we have our samples that we looked at last stream. So we set up the old samples to just look at their crystallization. We'll take a quick look at those, see what we see, and then we'll do the sealed bottles. And 3 years ago, I worked through these. Which way does it need to go? That way, yeah. Primarily Pfizer, but I also there's Moderna in there. I did the Sputnik as well. I also had Janssen, and they no graphene, just toxic expression products, inflammatory lipid nanoparticles, and what these people are doing is going in and obfuscating around this clotting issue. The amyloidogenic cascade of fibrinogen to fibrin, and I showed as well just recently that I was able to catalyze that reaction by itself just with a RT quick agitation and a slightly increased temperature. No special nanobots were involved, and this dribble it's amazing to me that we're still listening to it 5 years in. The testing was done, and anything that found graphene came from nonsense sources. And Botox bitch here is a fucking nonsense source. with a stupid daughter running her Twitter account.
Laser technologies. For medical device purposes, you're supposed to exclude all those problems, like all those there's a power.
Wait, see, Pete in Silico says, Kevin the virus pusher that cannot prove viruses exist. Conop, Kevin VPAC. Look, wanker, you idiots have to get round the principles of nanopore technology. Nanopore technology does not involve amplification steps, can get reads straight from swab or sample. And you know what? It matches up with the previous, what would be called next-gen sequencing. You can't get around that. Plus, you just have to lay on all the other converging lines of evidence. And nanopore has bust your stupid grift, right? Sunk it below the waterline. And come on and try to show me otherwise. You can't. None of you have fucking labs. None of you have the equipment to test or demonstrate it. It's the same tired fucking arguments that you just keep trotting out. And yeah, people who are not familiar with the technology, prove transmission. Human challenge studies have been done, and transmission studies already done. Retard. You know what she also does? This fucking silly cow. She also goes around saying DNA isn't real and is not part of the the backbone of information transfer across generations. And I literally was just pulling manuscript after manuscript of atomic force microscopy, where they're going and probing the shape of the DNA molecule. And you know what atomic force microscopy shows? A twisted double helix, exactly as predicted by Watson and Crick. But these fucking retards, even though you bring evidence that's been corroborated across different laboratories, across different parts of the planet, still want to find themselves going to cult leader types like the Baileys, like Cowan, like Kaufman, like this silly cunt on the screen here, drinking down the slop that they keep spilling out there. You didn't get a sperm-shaped nanobot, did you? I had a French production. No, I didn't, Annalise. But thank you for thinking of me sperms. Latpoiva's original promoter, Jane Ruby, also just resurrected this nonsense narrative. She interviewed Catherine Austin Fitz a few days ago to try to give it credibility. Can my DNA stretch to Pluto and back? Again, you're fucking full of nonsense. Let's just take a look, right? Because this is something that came up in this thread as I just bust Latpoiva apart, right? Which is, she tried to say that she pointed towards a letter from Watson and Crick where they'd basically used a salt precipitation to get DNA out. And she's saying, oh, because it's a salt, you can't get any measurement of the structure of the molecule. And let's just search. Here you go, Pete in silico. Atomic force microscopy. DNA structure. This isn't theoretical. This is direct placement onto a substrate such as a microscope slide, and then it being probed physically. It's a direct quantitative and physical measurement. Oh, what do we see here? Work. Oh, there it is. Atomic force microscopy, resolving structure of a single biological molecule. Researchers at the London Centre for Nanotechnology have determined the structure of DNA from measurements on a single molecule using atomic force microscopy and found the structure is not as regular as one might think. Results have been published in the journal Small. Our life depends on molecular machinery that is continuously at work in our bodies. The structure of these nanometer scale machines is thus at the heart of our understanding of health and disease. This is very apparent in the case of the Watson-Crick DNA double helix structure, which has been key to understanding how genetic information is stored and passed on. Watson and Crick's discovery was based on diffraction X-rays by millions of ordered and aligned DNA molecules. This method is extremely powerful and still used today in a more evolved form. To determine the structure of biological molecules, it has important... I missed the grammar there. To determine the structure of biological molecules. It has important drawbacks, however, that it only provides static average pictures of molecular structures and that relies on the accurate ordering and alignment of many molecules. This process, called crystallization, can prove very challenging. Building on previous work in Dr. Bart Hugenboom's, is that how you say that? Research group at the London Centre for Nanotechnology, and in collaboration with National Physical Laboratory, first author Alice Pine has applied soft touch atomic force microscopy to large, irregularly arranged and individual DNA molecules. In this form of microscopy, a miniature probe is used to feel the surface of the molecules one by one, rather than seeing them. To demonstrate the power of their method, Pine, Hugenboom and collaborators have measured the structure of a single DNA molecule, finding on average a good agreement with the structure as it has been known since Watson and Crick. Strikingly, however, the single molecule images also reveal significant variations in the depths of grooves in the double helix structure, which is to be expected when you're trying to compare it to a bulk measurement that they'd get through X-ray diffraction, like say when they're aligning it to get a linear X-ray path through it. And we know that DNA can take quadruplex forms and loop back on itself. These are well-known concepts within the molecular biology domain. While the origin of the observed variations is not yet fully understood, it is known that these grooves act as keyways for proteins, molecular keys that determine to which extent a gene is expressed in a living cell. The observation of variation in these keyways may thus help to determine the mechanisms by which living cells promote and suppress the use of genetic information stored in their DNA. And we'll link to the paper. And do they have the... they don't have the image. There it is. Small. Yeah, it's not the image I want. This one. Where'd that image go? Yeah, okay. So let me just zoom out. Open in figure viewer. Yes, but I want the text. Okay. What the text says: helical repeat, right-handedness, and groove depths of bDNA. Green asterisks mark a deep major groove, and green triangles a shallow one. Yeah, and there you can see the deep and the shallow in this instance. You know, there are going to be artifacts induced from the preparation. But once you've got a physical, direct measurement, it's game over. No virus, idiots. No DNA, idiots. The fact that you struggle with things like scale and atoms and molecules, and you think you're going to come and literally have a scientific discussion with people that do understand and do work with these phenomena. It just blows my mind. The no virus narrative cannot explain these biomarkers only reacting to viruses. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. Show me your best transmission study. Look, man, just fucking use Google, and there are a whole bunch of transmission studies. And you know what they've found? The people that they did the transmission studies, a whole bunch of them are now fucked with long COVID. What do you want me to tell you? Keep up to date with the literature. Try to understand what it is you're reading. Stop taking slop from retards like Latpoyva. Where were we? Here like I say, just for the record, so we can see this silly cunt making an ass of herself whilst their daughter runs her Twitter account.
Output that you can put in a particular tissue, and you have to prove that you're not putting more than that. It's very, very precise. Now, when they're in the telecommunications space, none of this applies all of a sudden. They're just using theoretical calculations, and they're calculating, let's say, for one beam, but they're never calculating for the fact that they can intersect, and in that spot, they will create an explosion,
What a fucking dipshit, man. She's on the same level as Pete in Silico in the chat.
That's what happens, and that's what happens when these sciences are compartmentalized. And so when people are thinking, well, biology is only in this space, and the telecommunications is only this space, and they never intersect. In fact, they intersect now all the time. We live in the telecommunication space where biological beings, our tissues are constantly getting attacked. We have to look at this now. And those doctors that, just want to say it's mRNA and everything else is just random inclusions, maybe cholesterol.
No, it's cholesterol, bitch. I've measured it with Raman spectroscopy. Sorry. Every patent for COVID shots contains thousands of chemicals intercalating RNA, DNA, distort them, binding to them, almost everything synthetic. Maybe. So again, what evidence are you bringing to the table, Pete? A magazine article. Let's see. Hang on. Let's just let this silly cunt finish. So
crystals. I encourage them to rethink that and start thinking about, what other methods.
Yeah, you come in poisoning the well, you silly tart. With literally no evidence except a boosted Twitter account and Substack. That's it. And liaising with other no virus retard, Jonathan Shotgun Cooey.
Assets exist, and read literature, read those papers, read reports from military, and start thinking along those lines, because I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's what's happening. We're seeing these weapons being deployed in this way. We don't know exactly the purpose, but here's what it is, and here's how that.
Yeah, it's you've just obfuscating the real issue around biological warfare, the weapons that have been deployed on us for this very dangerous war that we find ourselves in right now. And the casualty count already exceeds beyond what was achieved in World War II, if you take the same time period. Let's see. This is your scientific article, is it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, Pete in Silico. What's your knockdown evidence? During the 1918 Harvard Medicine, the magazine of Harvard Medical School. So it's not a scientific article. It's just a editorial piece. Harvard President A. Lawrence Lau was faced with a dilemma. It was towards the end of World War I. A severe pandemic had roared through. Yeah. It's fucking long. Let's use the tools available to us. Let's go. Summarize the following. Article explores Harvard Medical's response to the devastating 19 influenza outbreak. Boston was an early epicenter. Yeah. Clinical observations, scientific investigations at the time. Cause of influenza was debated. Many expected the Pfeiffer bacillus to be responsible. Broader legacy, 1918 pandemic spurred major shifts in public health. HMS outbreak served as a formative real-world training ground. Bottom line, Harvard medical community played a pivotal role in 1918 flu, combining frontline clinical care. I know what you want me to get from that particular link. What I saw another one in there. Let's see. Long COVID. Yeah, look, long COVID is a post-viral syndrome, and there are common mechanisms between ME, CFS, and long COVID. And there is this common pathway around microclotting, amyloidogenic cascades. If you don't think that they've been honing in and weaponizing that type of biology, you're fucking stupid. All right. So, just as I know Latpoyva will be watching, botulinum toxin may travel further than expected in nerve cells. Botulinum toxins are among the deadliest substances on Earth, and two specific toxins, including the popular drug Botox, have multiple uses for treating many neuromuscular conditions, including frown lines, disabling muscle spasms, and migraine headaches. That's why Latpoyva's face has that uncanny valley, literal fucking made of porcelain look. How can one have a chronic illness with a brand new virus? Because within weeks after what should be a normal recovery, you're going to develop the long COVID symptoms. It wasn't hard, and there's overlapping biology that you have to take into account. ME/CFS has the same microclotting phenomenon. Deal with that. What caused that? All right, so get some gloves on. We're going to do the new vial, so I'm going to open those vials and, well, first we'll just take a quick look at our specimens. Which do I do first? Vote from the crowd. I look at the old specimens, or I crack open the new vials so you can hear and see them crack open, and I put the specimens on slides and we look at those, or we look at the slides I prepared the other day. Yeah, come here, stupid thing. Come on. Weeks isn't long. Fucking, you're so retarded, man. Which is it? Crack open the new stuff. All right, Bane Lord. You get to say. All right, so which one first? Moderna or Pfizer? Moderna or Pfizer? Taste test. Bean Lord got in with new ones, so we'll crack open the new ones and put them on the slide. The old ones sitting in a brand new Petri dish. They've been sitting sealed in you could almost say at BSL-free level conditions. The Bean Lord has spoken. Yes, he has. So Moderna, Pfizer. I see Pfizer in there. Okay. All right. So let's do this. So I want to. Is that in focus? So I mean I can read it on the screen. So it's upside down. It's lot number 2588, expired January 26, Comirnaty KP2. Get that there. Can you see that? Comirnaty KP2. You can see the grey lid on top. Tell me you can see that. All right. And let me just. All right, I want to break it, so hang on, I'm just going to turn up the mic real quick. So hopefully you heard the seal breaking. It's a very tiny. Yeah, it's a small bottle. What can I tell you? All right. So I need to get. I've got. So we were using sealed syringes, 1 ml in this instance. Just for the record, we're using lab grade Matsunami. So these are Japanese slides. I can't get my hand off. All right, so it's like a ASMR for for vaccine victims. Well, do I? Yeah, we'll take a quick look at the slide. I'm pulling it from the middle of the pack. And let me just. I'm just marking the slide. What's going on it? All right. I'll just put a small drop, and I'll put some under a cover slip. Oh no, we should just. You want to check the slide first. DMSO. I have some on order, but so far everything I've tried has not broken down those clots. So I need to order some serine proteases, just to see. But currently, in terms of sort of like lab status, it's just working towards trying to get replicable models. And like we're a year into this, and we're seeing fruits begin to emerge from the work that we're doing. Okay, so just switch to. I need to find something to focus on. That's the frosting where you can write stuff. And just normal. Nothing much. And then we're off the slide. So a little bit of particulate matter. All right. Iggy says Latpoiva's info grift number Substack 58,000 subscribers 1% 580 times 5 2,900 a month. Times 8 would be 4,640 a month. Worthwhile endeavor. Yeah, of course. She's fully. You got to pay for that Botox somehow. Hang on, I'm missing the chat. Kevin, please first an empty slide and look at it for a while. Dust around you. I just have done, and we've been doing that. I've gone to great lengths to make sure, not just this time, but last time we were checking these vaccines to make sure that we were eliminating anything with respect to environmental contamination onto the slides. I mean, it's not the most ideal environment. I should be doing it in the clean side of the lab, but you know, you gotta roll with the punches some way. Yeah, DMSO. Again, you know, I'll never say to anyone, don't, unless I know it's particularly dangerous. But you know, they do give DMSO as a chelating agent. So I'm just cover slipping one of the drops. A reminder to everyone as well, please spread the word, support the stream, mccandojo.com if you want to support live streaming, science for the public, by the public, catching silly strumpets like Latpoiva. All right, cover slipped. Oh, look, what do we have straight away? What were they saying before that these were? Magnetic nanodiscs, right? And that's literally just bubbles under the cover slip right there. But they were looking at things like this, and there's a stream of me literally now. Berta that was the name, right? Some South African blonde-haired bimbo pushed by Stu Peters. But yeah, those are just bubbles in the under the glass slide. Oh, shit. That was my knife falling. Just be more careful. Do we need background music as I focus on screens and microscopes. Let's just do this. And we'll do I'm just seeing headlines: Iran blocks Strait of Hormuz. Things are gonna get unpredictable. What's I looking for? Doom remastered. Soundtrack. I can never find the one. Just tell me if it's too loud. So, oh, that sounds really loud to me. So we're looking at the lowest power right now, and so the scale bar is accurate for what you're seeing on the screen. You should be seeing 50 micrometers right now for the scale bar. And we'll just find the edge. Yep, and they look like, and you can see what's happened, right? Putting the slide has pushed out the particulate matter, and it's aggregated along the side of the track, and you are still just a little too. And let's zoom in on this. Let's have a look at these nanobots. So this is 10x. Would help if I had, rather than looking through OBS, that's better. Yeah, there's your nanobots. And this is what people are looking at, I'm afraid. So that's 10x. We'll now go. Sorry, the scale bar doesn't match, but like, so 50 micrometers is 4x, and then you're just going to have to do the calculation in your head until I get off my ass and make separate. It's too much hassle to swap between scenes right now. So this is 20x. Yeah, exactly what I expect to see. Let's see if we can find some real cuboid forms. I remember this is straight out of the vial, so it's not going to have much time to precipitate. But literally, I'm just looking, like, we're looking at a tiny fraction of the slide here. Let's see if I can find a good cuboid one. see it. Like a, almost looks like a amyloid fibril. So, yeah, there's the. I mean, I can switch over to using dark field, but I actually prefer phase contrast for looking at them. Thomas Anthony says, all I'm saying, Kevin McCann, fucking legend. Aye. Look, it's got nano glow shields. Oh, we have a nano disc aggregating some crystals. You've got to be some daft asshole. Now, there's a lot, right? So you heard me crack that vial, right? And I would say, again, I see bacterial contamination. It literally looks bacterial. And it's you know, if I had to pick a major problem with these products, is the propensity for the bacteria. So that being cracked live on camera means that those bacterial sources were, now of course they've been transported across different environments, cold chain broken, and so they've had a chance to proliferate in the medium. But that is for sure bacterial movement. Keep still. I just want to go and see. I've got a bunch of stains that I picked up from. I want to see if there's. Yeah, it's full on rods and cockeye. Wait a minute, I just want to go and check what dyes I do have. Can't find them right now. I don't want to leave the camera sort of sitting there. They do pass the bioburden test for the time period they say they should be sterile. Potentially, but I mean, it just shows that there is contamination in there. You know, I've spoken with Kevin a lot about that they're able to remove confounds from bacterial DNA. But yeah, man, this thing is loaded with them. But dipshits like Latpoyva will be saying these are nanobots, and when I dig out the stains for gram-negative and positive bacteria, which I know are around somewhere. That's bugging me, but can't doing. Just tuning in, what we're looking at. This is a it was unsealed Pfizer, I should say, and right now we're looking at 40 times undercover slip, and basically we're looking at bacterial contamination in the shots. So it means that there's a source in the vials, and then we're looking for any crystalline forms. So there's some inclusions growing. I need to clean that lens. Oof, man, there's just so much, man. It's mind-blowing. And you know, this is being kept in the freezer. There's a but nanocircuitry, graphanos. That looks like a amalgamation of bacteria, actually. So there's an inclusion coming from the vial itself, or aggregation. And you know, I only have up to 40 times on this microscope. we can try. I'll switch to dark field, but it's not going to add much to what we're seeing here. Yeah, that looks like aggregated bacteria to me more than. There's the other edge of the cover slip. So, you know, so this magnification, like the structure you're looking at there, look, it's forming like a hexagonal shape. And so that must be nanobots, right? And it's got a little antenna sticking out the top. I'd still just go with cholesterol crystal, but what I should be doing is doing a Z-stack collation, basically. So you sort of see the whole, you can compile the image so you see the more of the structure instead of having to go through it at sort of very, very small micrometer sections to bring any part into focus. Yeah, and just as I would expect, larger aggregates have been shoved to the side. Oh. You know what? You know what? I would say that looks like fungi. That literally looks like a fungi mycelium to me. Yeah, I should try it, and so like it's useful that it's outside the cover slip. So we'll remember this. We'll come back to this when I do find the stains that I have, because it's like a multi-pack diagnostic kit, and we can drop some iodine on, and I bet you that sucks up iodine. But yeah, quite a big. Not something I'd inject into my child. Kevin's music is depressing, sorry. Yeah, it's meant to be. Suck it up. You want cheery, happy tunes? This is doom, sir. Ah. Yeah, so if we go down in magnification, it might sort of resolve a little better. I just check we aren't looking at it from under. Let's just go back, see if we can find that other large. There. So you could pass the bioburden test of 1 CFU per 100 ml if they're kept frozen or cold for the time period it's been approved. These have been at room temperature for quite some time. So 1 CFU can multiply once the expired date has passed. This vial is, yes, it is expired. So we're speaking to the source at the moment. Just a bubble, right? I would say that's precipitated cholesterol. Wow, look at that. Oh my, I'd say that probably a hair. Yeah, it looks like it's sitting above the, it's probably come off me. I don't know, man. Hair shouldn't fluoresce. Yeah, like that's on top of the cover slip. That's come from off my beard or something. We should get I should just pull some hairs. I wouldn't expect the hair to fluoresce unless I'm chock for even me hair's producing amyloids. Yeah, so once you see that sort of central canal running through it, I'll always think hair. Fibers from the sterile caps they wear. I don't know. Like I say, just because to me that looks like it's on top of the slide. That's just something. And look, it's not clean room. It's a office desk. I'm not set up to do it in the clean side, so I would generally just ignore that. I don't think it's anything. Yeah, and you can start to see some. Still there. Yeah. That looks under the. Is that under? minutes interacting with the bubble. Yeah, and you can see the bacteria moving in that plane. I don't know what that is. Again, not the cleanest environment. But then it's like it's out of. That, like the rectangular corner piece there, starting to precipitate out that kind of. Has that cholesterol feel to me. Mm. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this one does dry out. Let's just look at the drop. Yeah. All right. That's the drop. No cover slip. You know what? Just because the drop seems so radically different. I'm just wondering, because that box of cover slips fell to the floor last. I just wonder if we're picking up some. Before I do this, let's try and get a little organized. So specimens will be kept in brand new glass Petri dishes. Oh, it's fucking daylight already. 4:44. 4:44 on the door. Armageddon is a ringing. I just splintered one. I might have to do the sample with sealed cover slip glass. So right now I'm just doing a test just to make sure the cover slip's clean. Otherwise I'm going to have to do that slide again. Because there's so much precipitate compared to the... I think the bacterial contamination is real. Alright, so this is a blank slide, I should say. That's the frosting. This is a glass. Regular. Not much to see. All right.
Your super shotgun is nearby, a relic from your past. The priests have kept it hidden from you in this remote location.
All right, that's the edge of the cover slip. It's pretty clean to me. Chip in the glass. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna call that contaminated cover slip for the moment. So we'll redo that slide. So clean. Now, it could be picking up stuff off my gloves as I'm handling the edge. Get a new slide. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's just stuff off my glove where I'm handling at the edge. I don't know how to get around that. Relatively clean. I mean, I think it's particular off my gloves. Maybe try a newer vial. We can have a look, but like I said, I think we're sort of running up against the limitations of where we're trying to conduct the experiment. I mean, I could go through the process of cleaning some forceps and I've got some prepped for surgery. Yeah, like I say, as it's on, so like these sides are cleanish, and then you get to the other edges. That's off my glove, right? And then the side is clear, or clearish, and then you get to the other side where I've touched it with my gloves. Yeah, I would be dismissive of what we just looked at right now. Just goes to show, even with gloves on. Use tweezers. Yeah, it just means breaking the seal on like some surgical apparatus right now, and it's 10 to 5 in the morning. Could test to see if bacteria are kanamycin or neomycin resistant. Yeah. What I will do, I'll break the seal and I'll just wait a second. A lot of E. coli in the vials. We've got like ambiguous result at the moment, and I'm feeling the pace right now. Let's see. I had some isopropyl kicking around. What did I do with that? I don't know if you could. I'm not sure that's just one slide. Might be two, but yeah, it's two. Yeah, cleaner. Running off there. It's pissing down with rain. So, you've just seen me open a brand new box. These are pre-cleaned as well. Same manufacturer. Yeah, I wanna say that was a dud test of Pfizer at the moment, just because I can see such a difference between using forceps. So I think on that suspenseful note, I will well, let's just see if in the drop we see bacteria. Yeah, and like if I look at my gloves under the catching the light of the I mean the cover slip was so much bacteria. I don't think that came from the glove. No, there's little flecks and this. I'm looking at the drop of Pfizer right now. And it is. I want to say it's dried out. So there's nothing moving in it. Yeah, they look like salt sugar crystals to me. Okay, so as that's kind of like a dud slide because of the handling from the gloves, what I'll do is I'll pull a little bit more of the Pfizer, just try and get a bead on the DNA bacterial contamination, and I'm opening a fresh syringe. Now, if there is bacterial contamination, this is something to think about, and there's plasmid DNA floating around, what's the pickup rate for the bacteria to take up those plasmids? All right, so we're leaving like one specimen, right? And now we're moving over to like the liquid phase. Right, so you can see it moving, right? Let's see if we can ID any bacteria movement. Yes. Yeah, it's full. Yeah. Iron rods. Yeah, so the bacterial contamination is an issue. Again, how that interacts with plasmid DNA, I can't imagine that it's a good idea. What's your view on the use of anthrax? There's been a journey, George Webb talking about it. Well, George, look, man, George is a funny card. I've met him in person in Texas, and he just has a tendency to embellish stuff, and it's a sort of throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and it can make for an entertaining podcast. He pulls out some interesting facts now and again, but yeah, he's aiming for entertainment more than rigor. Okay, so I'll let this dry. I'll keep it sealed up in the Petri dish. I'll let it dry. I'll have a root around. I'll find I'm pretty sure I have stains for gram-negative and positive dyes and bacterial stains, and then we'll stain it. But it's full of bacteria, these samples. And how many do you need to take up SV40 plasmids and start dividing? Yeah. What's that? It's just, it's a glow off the phase contrast. But bacteria still. His kids are in the IDF. Yeah, I mean, he's very much a ZOG ZOG inclined. I ain't on either side. Sorry. You keep your ideological possessions to yourself. I like data. Yeah, that's full. Yeah, I got to call it quits. Nanobots are out. Bacterial adulteration is in. Yes. Yes. All right. I'm gonna pull the ripcord there. Let me just see if anyone is chipping in to the. I burned through a whole bunch of glass today. Let's see. And I want to say, what date are we? Not one dono today. That's tragic. How dare you? All right, that's it. I ain't doing anymore. You can fucking look at your own shit. All right, I'm out of here. I will hang your heads in shame, Zogs. All right, so now I have to get this out. All right, let's get it sealed up, just so you can see me sealing it. That's Pfizer there. Cover slip going everywhere. All right. Sealed up. I've not seen any data. How much kanamycin is in vials? Pfizer say trace amounts. I don't know, man. I mean, you've got to think there's got to be some. I wonder if they're just using filtering as a means for sterilization. But yeah, I'm gonna call it quits. Enough time at the coalface today for the doc. All right, I will see you in the next one. And I don't know, maybe the nukes are flying by then, the way things are going. Yeah, hit the thumbs up and spread the word around. And of course, yeah, what I will do is just encourage samples. Help me build out databases and pinning down amyloids, right? We want to see if, well, I want to see how much this is an issue. Get your hands away from your face, dude. Yeah, you try doing this for 3 hours non-stop. All right, I'm out of here. Let's just shut that up. Right. Take care. God bless in these perilous times, and see you in the next one.
You are free. But I warn you, if you make any further inquiries, or if you say a single word to anyone about what you have seen, there will be the most dire consequences for you and your family. Do you understand?